Following is an unrehearsed taped interview with Mr. Henley Waters of Whitley City, Kentucky. The interview is conducted by William Burge for the Oral History Center at Eastern Kentucky University at Mr. Waters' home in Whitley City on July 20th, 1984 at 10 a.m.
Late every morning. Nobody knew. I'll just set this right here. But I'll just mill right here. Can you see that good enough?
Yeah, that's fine.
When he'd leave his shovel there in the morning, he'd come in. If he's a little late, he'd grab a shovel and look like he'd already be at work. Tell him some stories about when they opened that mine, when they built that temple, and about how it looked down in there in that country. Tell his people about that.
I don't know this, what year that was in is when they started there, but I know I was there all the time. I worked at Fidelity, and then they changed over there and put up that mine and opened it up. Now, I worked there 7 years on that temple, and then I dug coal. The rest of the time when I wasn't on the day shift.
Tell them how many children you have.
16.
16?
Yeah.
My gosh.
And how many of your boys worked in the mines there at Blue Heron?
I'd have to count them. With 4 or 5 of them worked in the mine, and then they went to the factory, Muncie.
Did you ever think about moving up there?
No, I went up and stayed a while up there, all one summer, I believe, and thought I might stay up there, but I didn't like it.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just went back for a stay while my wife was sick this last time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I know when they began that mine and raised right there on the hill.
Did you work in the mines at Blue Heron when Lemmy Wright was superintendent there?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think he's superintendent and I worked on the temple.
Did you work there when Cac Slavin was superintendent?
No, I never worked on the CAC, I don't think. CAC was after I quit, maybe. I mean, after I was retired or quit.
Yeah, he came there in 51, I think. That year the mines closed?
I quit in 48.
You did?
Yeah. But I know when CAC and them was all superintendent and boss and so on like that.
Mm-hmm. Where'd you live there?
Lived over the hill above the temple.
What'd they call that there?
Ball Knob.
On Bald Knob?
Yeah. It's on the first side from the temple.
Mm-hmm.
South or west, south or southwest.
Mr. Waters, do you have any notion of how many men worked down there at Blue Heron?
I guess around 100 or more, 100 and something.
So they were taking a lot of coal out of there then?
Yeah, they run a whole lot of coal. I don't know just what the amount would be. We put out several guns, railroad guns a day.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, 6 or 8 railroad guns.
What other mines did you ever work in besides 18?
I first worked in Mine 3 and then Mine 2. Well, Mine 3 was the first before to open up the number 2 seam.
Uh-huh.
I worked at both places. And number 4, big coal, was a big seam.
Did you When you worked down there, did you buy stuff from at the company store there at Blue Heron?
Yeah.
When did you like the store better? When Theodore Childress ran it, or when Bill Pryor ran it?
Well, I like Bill Pryor pretty good.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. And you did a lot of business with him, did you?
Yeah. Yeah, he's our store manager there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Back in those days, like when you lived that way out in the ridge there at Bald Knob,
Yeah.
and did your wife ever go in there to the store at Blue Heron?
Yeah.
What would she do, walk in?
She took her and one of the boys would take a mule or a horse, which we had, and go to the store once a week and bring back a horse load and all they could bring back.
When she went over there with that horse, how would she get across the river?
Ford it.
She forded the river?
Yeah, if it was fordable, or tie him up at the end of the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Your son, Philip, one time told me a story about a man tying a mule up at the end of the bridge there, and the mule got hanged. Did you ever know about that?
Yeah, I heard him telling about it.
What was that? How'd that happen? Do you remember?
He hadn't died or nothing. They unloosed him, as well as I recollect.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. That Philip and some of them tied him up there, and he got walled up somehow.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
When you lived there and you had a horse to go into Blue Heron, did you ever ride the horse to work, or did you walk to work?
I walked.
Always?
Yeah.
What'd you have the mule for? Just to plow the garden and stuff like that?
Yeah, I had the farm night. They farmed night. The other children did. When I wasn't there. When I wasn't working or off days or whatever.
Do you ever remember down in there?
Who?
No, when you, like down in there at Blue Heron, down in there where the people lived, did any of those folks who lived around the camp there ever have a cow or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah, around them camps, they keep a cow, them that wanted to, just run loose around the camp.
Oh, really? Just run loose around there, huh?
Yeah. Huh?
Do you remember who had one down there?
I think Lemmy Wright had one there.
Uh-huh.
And I don't remember now just who else.
Did you know Bob Davis?
Yeah.
I was talking to him last week.
Yeah, Bob was the boss at North A at Fidelity a long time. Then he come out to Mine 18.
Uh-huh.
But I was out of work since 48.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I come up with stomach trouble and sick. And doctor laid me off. And I got so I could work, I never went back.
Uh-huh. It was so good not being there.
Yeah. But I went to work in the mine with my brother when I guess I was about 12 or 14 years old. Back then, you could take anybody in with you, but the men drove the mules. If it's one man, he gave him one man's turn. And if it's two men, he gets two men's turn. By having me in there with him, they give my brother two men's turn.
Just because you were in there with them?
Yeah. Well, I'd peck around and throw in coal. But till 48, I was in the mine and done other things along too.
Did you ever work at robbing a mine?
Yeah, robbing work, yeah. Now that's good work, but it's kind of dangerous. When the mountain's giving down, it busts your coal and it'll fly out and kill you or knock you all way over yonder. It belts. It's called a belt. Just got so much weight. Boom.
Yeah, people told me that when you were in the ground, when you were robbing those mines, you could hear that noise all the time when the pillars were breaking in. And
yeah, you can hear it go like thunder. The mountain of giving, breaking. And then a lot of times he'll go take and wait before you're working and break your timbers. And when he goes to breaking the big timbers, busting them, well, you got to set some more under there because it's taking weight. And then sometimes it gets so much weight that big slabs, rock, or slab all, that's liable to,
That could hurt you, huh?
that liable to kill you that way.
Where'd you rob mines?
18 and Fidelity.
You robbed mines at 18 and Fidelity both?
Yeah, we was in that robbery work at Fidelity, the lower side. And then, if I forgot, we robbed some at 18.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Do you know what he's talking about?
No.
When they would go in and get coal out of the mines, they leave a lot of the coal to hold up the roof.
Yeah.
And then after they finish with the mine, they start at the back end of the mine and they take all the coal out they left in, and as they come back, the mine keeps caving in behind them.
Gosh, it does sound dangerous.
Oh, yeah, yeah. That was dangerous work, wasn't it?
Yeah,
was
it
dangerous
was.
work.
Yeah.
When you all, back in those days, when you all went to work there, did you carry a lunch, or what'd you do to eat when you were working in the mine?
Well, we took dinner in a bucket, water.
Did you have one of those regular miners buckets that they?
Yeah, regular buckets for mine. The top of it's for your lunch and the bottom for water,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That must have been really interesting stuff to do that, wasn't it?
Huh?
That was interesting to do to carry your lunch like that, because you never knew what you were going to have when you left the house, did you?
No.
What'd you do for in those mines there at Blue Heron?
For what?
At the mines there at 18.
Yeah.
When you were at the mines at 18, were those mines have a lot of gas in them? Were they
No.
bad for that?
No, I don't call the mine to have a lot. We watched for that. Now Worley had some. We could take our light, we would drill a hole for to shoot coal, and let it set a while. You could take your light and stick up there, and it'd blow.
Then you knew there was gas.
It'd
Huh?
catch a fire. But at that time, we didn't know nothing about gas. We could have set the whole mountain fire, if not knowing. But later, mine inspectors and so on.
They didn't let you smoke in the mines or anything then, did they?
Back then, it was.
They didn't know any better, huh?
No, they didn't think about setting nothing off. I don't reckon. But we could tell if they had gas in there by taking our light and sticking it up to that auger hole where we had bored. It'd get gas in there, and you stick your light to it, and it'd.
You're talking about a carbide light.
Yeah. Well, any kind of light would have set it. But carbide light. And when they first started the lights, they had a little old lamp. They burnt some kind of lard oil. And,
oil lamps.
Oil,
Yes.
yeah. And,
Did you ever work with those?
huh?
Did you ever work with
Yeah,
that kind of lamp?
yeah, a little,
And then you went to carbide lamp
yeah,
later, huh?
with the carbide light.
Did you ever work in the mines when they were using battery lamps?
Yeah, they forgot them batteries too.
Uh-huh.
Later,
Uh-huh.
as the carbide light come in, I never seen none until later that.
Uh-huh.
But then they got the battery light later. That is with us, but other people everywhere probably had them a long time.
Uh-huh. Where did they charge those batteries?
They had I think they had a place there that they put them on charge there at the mines.
In the wash house? Was that where it was?
Yeah, I guess it was wash house,
Uh-huh.
bathhouse. They put them on charge there, bring them in, leave them, charge them up for next morning.
When you were working at Mine 18, who ran the bathhouse? Who worked in the bathhouse when you were there?
Tucker, old man, I forget his name now. Tucker, though.
Did Charlie Davis ever work there?
Yeah. Nessie Charlie. I forgot where Charlie did or not. I don't call to mind where Charlie worked there or not.
What did Goldman do there? Was he working the mine?
He started digging coal.
And
shooting and digging coal.
Simon did the same thing.
Yeah.
And what did Philip do there?
I think he said he run a shuttle car.
That was crazy work, wasn't it? Did he drive those fast, did
he? Yeah, he got on that shuttle car for his job. And, of course, he helped dig coal, too. Shot and dig coal before and maybe since, I don't know. But anyway, after he started on that shuttle car, why, I don't know where he dug any coal or not anymore. How's that?
Who are the miners you remember best from there? Who are the people you remember best from down in there at Mine 18? Who lived right around the tipple there?
Yeah. Well, of course, Ledbetter lived there, Lemmy Wright, Luther Ledbetter and Lemmy Wright. And, Lord, I couldn't tell that who all lived around there. They had a camp went down through there, several houses. And,
do you ever remember any goats around that tipple?
There was some in the mountain on top around them cliffs. Some of the boys maybe shot them off them cliffs just to be a dud. They destroyed them dogs together some way.
Do you remember the Boy Scout camp?
Boy Scout
camp down there?
Yeah. Yeah, it's above the tipple up toward the jumps where they had that Boy Scout camp. Yeah.
Do you remember where the church was?
Yeah, just between the jumps and the tipple.
Did you ever go to church there?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a church and school there.
Did you go to church there?
Yeah, I've been there. I don't remember just who's different one's preacher. I don't know who all. Now I don't recollect.
Did any of your boys ever preach there?
I think Simon has. Yeah, maybe Simon, I guess, all one I had then. But since that time, Philip been preaching. It might have been then, I don't call to mind now.
Did you ever go down to the river there when they were baptizing people? Did you ever see anybody baptized there?
We'd have big crowds on the river bank. They'd come a long distance down there to all them churches around that part of the country. What they'd come down there to baptize at the river. And then later they went to going to Rock Creek to ford. The bridge at Rock Creek.
Do you remember Bill Simpson?
Yeah.
Did you ever see him baptize anybody down there?
No, he did baptize us, but I don't call to being mad at the baptizing.
Did you ever?
I've been where he's been preaching.
Was he a good preacher?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah.
Would all the people who go to hear him, they'd be all white people, would they?
Yeah, why they thought a lot of it. Yeah. Well, he was preaching the same gospel they was, mostly. Of course, he preached with a different faith. Some of the Baptist people don't preach with a different faith. They may listen at them, but they won't fool each other too much.
What year were you born? Henley, what year were you born?
What?
What year were you born? In what year were you born yourself?
1897, I believe. See, I about forgot. But I'm 80, coming up 87.
So you must have been born in 97 then. Yep, you were born in 97.
Yeah.
Where were you born?
I reckon out there from 18 on the ball knob. Yeah.
How many brothers and sisters do you have?
7 of us.
What was your mother's name?
Melindy
Melindy what?
Winchester at that time.
Winchester.
Yeah.
Where was she from? She from down in there?
Rock Creek.
They're all right there together, weren't they?
Just across the hill there. I think she was born and raised up over there on Rock Creek around White Oak Junction country.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, her daddy had a watermill there in that creek, and she was a young girl. She tended that mill all the time. Done the grinding for the people, she said, and if they run out of water, they have backwater back the way back up there and it run with water. And if it run low, you just let a gate down there and shut the water off till you catch the headway, and then you start back grinding again.
When the water got higher.
Yeah. She tended that mill.
What other kind of work did you ever do besides working around the mines? Did you ever do other things?
Yes, I have done pretty well most of the work. I've logged with the mules, and I've cut timber, and
in other words, you worked in the logwoods, huh?
And the logwoods.
Who'd you work for in the logwoods?
Well, I was working for Stern, or maybe some of the other boys have a contract. I'd be working with them or for them.
Oh, so you worked for Stern's company in the logwoods?
Yeah, that's about all it was to deal with. Mm-hmm. And I farmed to go with that little one-horse farm. And like I said, I worked at the mine and that farm, and then, I don't know, different things.
Did many people back in that country when you were young, did they make whiskey?
Not too much. Some of them did, but not much. Mm-hmm. Around with us, we wasn't too many in our settlement. But somebody has always made it. Them slavers used to live up on that river at Cub Creek and Trickledy. You go around and get all you want. They made it all the time. So.
Did they make pretty good whiskey?
Yeah. Yeah, they made it pure corn whiskey, unless they decided to make it out of something else, apples or something.
Was apple whiskey as good as corn whiskey?
Huh?
Was apple whiskey as good as corn whiskey?
Well, it's a little better in a way. It's got a good flavor to it. I like it better. Yeah.
Do you ever remember Stearns having a picnic down at Blue Heron? The company picnic?
I don't call to mind. I don't really recollect.
Did you ever bring your family into the picnic in Stearns?
I took them in there for different things to be up there. They'd have Stearns, but on a picnic, I don't know if I did.
Did you ever take them in there for a carnival?
Yeah. Went for something like that.
Well, how would you bring them all in from out there?
We come to the Mine 18 and catch be at Mine 18, but really the train wouldn't be up at Mine 18 some of the time there. You'd have to catch it river curve, we call it.
Okay.
They'll ride it.
Down there by that little tram bridge, across the tram bridge on the curve in the river. Have you ridden down on that new train they got?
Huh?
Have you ever ridden down on that new train that they have?
No, I have ridden them trains all the time. I don't know what train they got.
Well, they got a new one now for just tourists.
No, that's all we had in and out that we walked. Ride that train in and out. Yeah, we go to
How much would they charge you when you took your family, say, into Stearns from down there on River Curve?
It wasn't much a piece, I don't think. Maybe 50, 60 cents, something like that a piece. Or something like that. I don't remember. It wasn't very much.
Did you ever have a car when you lived out there?
Yeah, we had cars before we left from there.
When's the first time
A models.
What's the first time you got a car? Do you remember when you first got a car?
No, I don't know. Let's see.
Can you remember when you learned to drive a car?
I never did learn. I got one and I just thought I'd learn to drive it out in the flat I had there first, so I wouldn't get outside. And I couldn't keep it in the field. I'd get the gas going, and he'd leave from where I wanted to turn it. I couldn't steer it and give it the gas. And then my A model, if you're on the hill and it choked out anyway, no brakes, it'd go back over the hill with you. And I was afraid of it. I never did learn to drive.
Who drove your car for you?
Goldman, that oldest boy of mine. Yeah. Yeah, we had the little old A model, T model, and A model. We started out to Monticello, and the boy was driving. Of course, me and my brother couldn't drive, but he was driving, and we went between, it was a bridge, a car bridge, and we didn't know what they made it wide enough till you could pass one another on the bridge, but you wasn't supposed to then. And there's a truck. That boy drove right up on the bridge, and the truck coming out there too, and figured that big truck and that A model, they would pass each other there, but they scrouted through there and got by. What am I doing?
That's okay. That's okay. No, it didn't break. But they were able to get through, were they? Were they able to get through?
We scrouted through, but what was funny about the greenhorns out that way couldn't see that it ought to be on the bridge, and a truck coming on it, big old log truck. Well, I tell them now, back then, and on back further, you didn't have to know anything. There was nothing to do. There wasn't nothing to do, and nowhere to go, and no use. You don't have a use to know anything hardly.
Just had to work, huh?
Yeah, just manage around here and get your living the best you could, and so on like that. There wasn't no. Of course, people had to send their children to school, but if you had education, there wasn't nothing to do.
Let me ask.
Some, and they went there, and then, of course, they raised at Ball Knob, and I don't know.
Did any of your children ever go to school over at Blue Heron?
Where?
Over at Blue Heron, did they ever go to school at that?
Yeah, I think some of them did on the last. Yeah. I think so. But they all got pretty good education. But I don't know.
When you
so some of my last children went to high school, I think, but most of them just a common school.
That's all anybody did then, wasn't it?
Huh?
That's all anybody did then. Huh?
Yeah. Always what?
Nobody went to school much then, did they?
No, it didn't make much difference.
How long did you go to school?
I went off and on when I wanted to,
Like how many?
Till I got in the 4th grade. I faced up, or pretended to face up for 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and went to the 4th. I couldn't study. I'd hold my book up this way, but I didn't want to study. Teacher wouldn't have no difference. I couldn't fool with that. It wasn't cut out for it, something. Oh, I like going to school, but I despise that sitting in and trying to read. And no, nothing would come up.
What was the first job you ever had? You remember that?
I worked for my brother all till around on the farm there and fiddled about till I went to work with him in the coal mines. About 12 or 13 years old or something like that.
Were you ever a ball player or anything like that?
No. No, it never was.
Did you go to ball games?
Not much. I went a few times. Watched them. Not much. I like to watch them. I like to, used to, went to school, I used to like to play ball. That is the kind we played, you know. There's, Anthony over, they call it, and so on like that. And, they had some other kind of a name for it. Let's see. I about forgot, but anyhow, I never did know much about it.
Did you like music?
Baseball, what I was trying
Baseball.
to think. Yeah.
Did you like music?
Music. Yeah, I used to try to play some.
What'd you play?
Banjo, fiddle.
Were you pretty good?
Well, I played at the sets, the plays they'd have all night at a time. Yeah.
Did you play for square dancing and that kind of stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, they did that.
Did you sing?
No, I never did sing. You
Okay.
say did I sing?
Did you sing? Yeah.
No.
Did any of your family sing?
Yeah, all of my family's got 2 bunches of them, 2 groups, singers.
I heard you had good singers in your family. That's why.
Yeah. They're really good, I think, for people says they are. There's 3 or 4 preachers in the bunch, deacons. They hooked up pretty good. Yeah, there's 3 preachers in the bunch, and besides the singers, and some of them just about preach. Got 2 more. That's well, they make talks and sing and carol like that. Yeah.
Do you remember the first time you had a radio? Did you remember when you got a radio the first time?
Some of them brought one in, a little old table set, there's a record set on top of it, a little old box of a thing.
When was that?
Gramophone, they call them in, I believe.
Gramophone, yeah.
Yeah. That's back, I don't know, 60 or 70 years ago.
Do you remember the first time you saw an automobile?
Yeah, I don't know how long it's been.
Where were you when you saw it?
I think we lived at Ball Knob then. My brother first, he bought the Camargos running. As the first one we had out in our country when that company first come there, like. He bought some kind of a car then, first one that we seen.
Do you remember, where'd you live when the first time where were you the first time you saw a television?
I don't recollect, hardly. Where is that? It's been a long time since I seen the first one. I don't know where it's at.
Did you ever have television when you lived out at Bald Knob?
No, I don't think so.
Did you have electricity?
I might on the last.
Did you have electricity at Bald Knob?
Huh?
Did you have electricity when you lived at Bald Knob?
Not that was on the last part. I think we did on the last part, but lived there for years and years before the electric come out there. It ain't been too awfully long since they put that in there. I don't know how long it's been. Maybe it's 25 or 30 years. Maybe it's been out there that long.
When you lived at Bald Knob, where'd you get your water that you drank?
Down under the cliff to quarter of a mile, I guess.
From a spring?
From a spring, yeah.
And you had to carry that all the time then?
Yeah. Have to carry it. I finally drilled a well. Had a well drill. But all the other time, hasn't not. Oh, it's been a smart while since I had the well drill. But all before I had the well drill, it come from the cliff down on the mountain.
When you lived out there in Bald Knob, did you have things like apple trees and stuff like that?
Yeah, we had orchards.
Everybody had them then, didn't they?
Yeah, they had orchards.
What kind of apples did you have? Do you remember?
Huh?
What kind of apples did you grow in that orchard?
Well, mostly short cores and barts and big June sweet apples and I don't know, some that brung on fruit. I don't know. Let's see what
kind of apple tree is that? Right there.
That's sweet apple.
Are they good apples?
That's a sweet apple and...
Are they good ones?
Yeah, but they ain't no count this year.
They're not?
No, they're still fruity. They fell off. They got blasted enough they ain't grow. They grow big yellow apple, them does. But this year they got set back somewhere. They didn't stay on. Well, the ground stays covered with the fall. They just full, awful full. Apples, and it fell off. But I call it got blasted, you know, the weather caused them to not grow.
Have Simon and Philip been down to see you lately?
Who?
Have Simon or Philip been down to see you lately?
They was down back. Philip was down last. Oh, it's been a month or over. They come down once in a while. They're scheduled to come down now, right? Most of the time. But there's 100. I don't know. 100 and I forget if it's 125 or such a matter of our family.
How many grandchildren do you have?
I was thinking that seemed like it's about 36 of me. My wife had them counted up, and they're on the paper now, but I forgot. I believe it's 26 or 36.
Got any great-grandchildren?
Yeah. Without counting the grandchildren, I don't know great-grandchildren. I forgot how many there was of the great. And then I got some great, I think.
16 kids, I'm not surprised.
Well, I feel they should a lot full if it's all come. That is, plus the cars. Well, they just got to have a big place for 150 people.
About all of them live in Indiana now.
Oh, really?
A lot of them do.
Yeah, I got one boy lives here. He drives a hamlets. That's unbelievable. I want to take you in before you leave. You've never seen it.
He's got a picture in there that.
It's got them on. You'd be, I guess, surprised.
Yeah.
I've had them come from Washington everywhere. I show everybody comes, make a difference where he's from, hardly.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah. Yeah.
When they opened that mine over there, Mr. Waters worked up on the tipple before
Yeah.
he worked in the mines. He worked up on the thing you saw today.
Yeah. Yeah, I was working on that tipple. That dust is a sight on earth. They ground that coal into stoker nuts, you know, and just put in that old big grinder. Belt runs right in there. You turn it on there and dump it right in there on that grinder, and it grinds it into stoker. And then it's sifted out. All the dust out just leaves us the little stoker dust. And the dust goes in one gone, and that stoker in another. And then we have the little egg and the big egg. And then we had the block.
He's talking about different sizes of coal that they made there.
That's what we run at 18.
Somebody told me that the dust was worse on the tipple than it was in the mines.
I don't know what. The dust was worse. Why, yeah, you can see it going off in a cloud. And I was in that. And that tipple, it didn't bother too bad right in the tipple here. But the air coming through took it off in a cloud. But the dust would be in there, you just as black as the ace of spades. I've sat there, sat on the bench there, side of the conveyor, and watched for impurities coming through, slate, whatever you rock. Somebody will tell them what they load. And they get pay for how much it weighs. It's on the scales. A lot of fellows put rock in it to make it weigh. While you uplift that rock out. But that conveyor comes right on through here and carrying that, taking it to the gone. And you can catch that as it comes through there. And then you got to conveyor that through that slate on, it takes it to the slate car. Or the rock, ever what you got. Won't be going in that gone which you're shipping. We pick it out there. And I'll sit there and I started to say, I've cried, I've prayed, and I've sung 7 years.
When you
Well, nothing to do, you know, mix and much noise. I wouldn't have been doing that if they could have heard me. You couldn't hear thunder.
it was loud and dusty.
I was carrying on all them things, pitiful and meanings, or just, you know, some of them would make you cry. Yeah. But 7 years there, that, and when the tipple was going, you couldn't, like I said, if this is thunder, you would never know it.
It was really loud. Huh?
Yeah. The old tipple was going, you couldn't hear nothing. And I done a lot of, naturally, you sitting there, 7 years, why, you got to make your own company.
Who'd you work with up in the tipple?
I don't know, there's different ones of them. Samson Abbott was the foreman. And his brother, I forgot his name. Well, there's 7 or 8 of us out on Temple. I forgot now, just calling their names.
Well, Mr. Waters, I want to thank you for letting me come down here again and talk with you.
Well,
I'd like you to take these people in and let them see your pictures.
yeah. Because that a very next dead, that'll be a kind of a wonder and a sight. And I told a neighboring woman there, she's old, we called her Lizanne. And I told her, said, we'd having so many children out, and what on earth to do? Times is hard then. And, well, she said, if the Lord sees fit to bless you, them children, He'd make a way for you. I come up with 16, of course I lost one or two of them when they were small. 2 or 3 of them. Well, about 2 of them. And then since that time I lost one. I think got 3 dead now. But out of that crowd, I had an 8-foot table, 8 foot long, and they eat at the end, and they circle it around, you know. And people wonder how on earth did he live with all that bunch. And then we fed the comers and goers. Plenty of people come. And let the children, when they grow up, as the worst time I had out of that whole bunch is when I just had up to 3. 3 children.
You had more trouble?
Because I couldn't, my wife couldn't leave and get out to get wood and do nothing and leave them young ones to be gone for nothing. And I couldn't be there and be awful working. And until they got big enough, I could put them out to working. And 2 of them would be working in the fields there, doing whatever was to do and getting wood, feeding and whatever. And then they got big enough to go to marrying off. As they married off, while the others growed up big enough to take their place. And I didn't have nothing to worry about.
It's when you were down to 2 and 3 that you had the most trouble.
Yeah. Boy, that's when I had to do work away, and my wife couldn't help do nothing much and tend them young ones. That was the roughest time I had, buddy. And other people just have 1 or 2 and have a terrible time.
Yeah, they're just like you were when you had 2 and 3, aren't they?
Huh?
They were just like you were when you had 2 and 3. They didn't have any helpers.
Yeah. Well, I raised that whole family less trouble than they would with them 2 or 3. See, the bigger ones take care of all the little ones as they come up. They led the way and took care of the little ones. It didn't bother. You was first to learn them how to work and do things.
Well, we sure want to thank you, and I hope take them in and show them those pictures, would you?
Yeah.
Well, I get this stuff wound up while you're gone. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Waters.
Yes, sir.